Hi, I'm Annapolis Mayor Josh Cohen with a video update for December 8th, 2010. In this update, I'm going to talk about the Market House with a tiny little update about the Economic Development Corporation, which I will do first. And that is simply an announcement that last week the new Annapolis Economic Development Corporation announced its first Chief Executive Officer, a person named Lara Fritz. It was a great kickoff at Loews Annapolis Hotel. And at the same time, they unveiled their new website, and the web address is annapolisedc.org. Lara is going to begin in January. She has extensive experience working in economic development in places like Rockville and in Virginia, and she currently works in the Midwest, and I can't pronounce the name of the town. But I had the opportunity to meet with her, and I believe she understands what businesses in Annapolis need. What they need, what we need, not only to attract new businesses, but also to help existing businesses expand and to retain the businesses that we have. I think she's going to do a good job advocating for local businesses, and I'm looking forward to working with her. Market House. I want to cover two basic things. One, the status of the lease negotiations, and the second thing is the legislative timeline for the lease approval. The lease negotiations are moving forward. It's taking longer than I had hoped, but the important point is that we need to make sure we have a lease that protects the city. We have experience having a lease that does not do that, and we need to make sure that moving forward the city's interests are protected. I'm very pleased to report that the city administration, which has been negotiating the lease with Gone to Market, has reached agreement in principle on the key parameters for the lease. And the administration has been reflecting the general consensus of the council as has been expressed during many discussions over these past months. I'm going to touch upon a few of the key points in terms of the cost sharing, the profit sharing, and the ability to terminate. Cost share, the basic framework is that the city is going to be responsible for paying for the structural improvements to the structure, the air conditioning being the big one, but also any improvements to the roof, work on the interior, such as relocating the utilities and other interior improvements that will allow for a better interior layout. The basic idea being that if Gone to Market leaves a year from now, the physical improvements that the city will have paid for will still be the city's as part of the Market House. In terms of the operating costs, Gone to Market is going to be on the hook for covering all of the operating costs, from trash collection to water, sewer, lighting, electricity, you name it. The city will not be subsidizing the operation of the Market House. The city will not take any of the risk for the financial operation of the Market House. Gone to Market LLC is assuming all of the risk for the business operation of the Market House. And we expect it'll take at least a couple years before the Market House financially is turning a profit, which means that Gone to Market, for the first couple years at least, is going to be operating the market at a deficit to them, but not the city. The city is absorbing none of the risk, none of the loss if it operates at a deficit. So in terms of the old Hippocratic oath for doctors, the first rule is to do no harm. That's what this lease is going to do. I've said it 2 or 3 times already in this video. The city will not be subsidizing the operation of the Market House. And to the extent that the Market House lease is profitable to Gone to Market, we're working out a profit sharing that the city will also enjoy some of those profits too. So that's the cost share, that's the profit share, and in terms of the ability to terminate the lease, in addition to standard termination rules, like if Gone to Market is in default, if they're behind on their rent, things like that, the one thing that was critical to me, quite candidly, as well as to many others and other members of the public, other alderpersons, is the ability of the city to end the lease, even if on paper the Market House is doing okay. If it's fully occupied, if they're paying their rent on time, that does not necessarily mean that the Market House is going to be a success at the intangible things that need to happen. The Market House needs to be a community gathering place, a vibrant spot for locals primarily, first and foremost, for our community. And it's got to be not just a nondescript food court, but it's got to be a real traditional public market. It's hard to measure those things quantifiably, which is why we've been negotiating what lawyers call a termination for convenience. It's taken a lot of time, frankly, just to reach agreement on that one right for the city to have, because Gone to Market understandably wants to avoid being in a situation where they're doing a great job and then the city, for no particular reason, says, you're out of there, we want to terminate. So we've been working through that, but the lease will ensure that the city, at its sole discretion, even if Gone to Market disagrees, at the city's sole discretion will retain the right to terminate for convenience. So again, starting from the premise, as we're putting this lease together, that above all we need to protect the city's interests, the lease will do that. And the lease that I finally present to the council this Monday is going to be a solid lease. It's not going to be set in stone. The council may have changes, members of the public may have revisions, but it'll be a solid lease that protects the city's interests. So speaking of Monday and the legislative timeline moving forward, the lease, along with an accompanying ordinance that makes sure that our city code is up to date dealing with the Market House, will be introduced for the first time this Monday. At the time of introduction, we will go over the lease paragraph by paragraph for the council as well as for the public at large, so that the public will know what is in every page of that lease. The presenters will include Karen Hardwick, the city attorney, Doug Smith, who's been the city's point person on the negotiations, as well as our outside counsel from the law firm DLA Piper that the city has retained. After Monday, we will schedule a public hearing the following Monday, which will be January 20th, so that the council can hear from the public. At some point after it's introduced, the City Council's Economic Matters Committee may choose to hold its own public hearing or meeting to review the lease. And then the vote is tentatively scheduled for January 3rd, Monday, January 3rd, which still keeps us on track with our proposed construction schedule of closing down the Market House shortly after New Year's, doing about 3 months worth of construction, and then opening the new and improved Market House in April. So that is the update. As always, you can reach me by calling 410-263-7997, and you can send an email to mayor@annapolis.gov. Thank you for watching.